It looks like
One idea.
They saw us. This is where it's already saying this. Get lost if you see that area.
All of a sudden, everything.
It was not correct. College saying,
This is not
I want to get
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Going next to the fire museum.
Ready?
Yeah,
Oh, we're live. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Say what? Okay. All right. Okay, the meeting will please come to order. The adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act is that on January 19, 2022, a copy of the notice specifying the date, time, and location was posted on a bulletin board outside of Borough Hall, mailed, faxed, or emailed to the Courier News, given to the clerk administrator, and placed on the Borough website. If any member believes that this meeting is being held in violation of the Open Public Meeting Act, please state your views at this time. Hearing none, this meeting is a judicial nature. Only comments and questions related to the applications on the agenda will be heard, and proper judicial decorum will be maintained. Next item, roll call.
Marta Dare.
Here.
Darren Jevons.
Here.
Roberta Carpenter.
Here.
Brian Badinsky.
Here.
Morgan McLaughlin. Rich O'Neill.
Here.
John Flores.
Here.
Eric Alvarez.
Here.
Ed Al will not be present this evening.
Okay.
That's obvious.
Would someone move that Ed and Morgan's absence be recorded as excused?
So moved.
Move. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next item, would someone move the minutes of the June 16th meeting? Move.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Marta Dare.
Yes.
Darren Jevons.
Yes.
Roberta Carpenter.
Yes.
Rich O'Neill.
Yes.
John Flores.
I wasn't present, so.
Okay, I wasn't present. Eric Alvarez.
Yes.
Okay.
Would someone like to move the minutes of the July 20th meeting?
I'll move.
Second.
Move. Second. Discussion? Roll call.
Marta Dare.
Yes.
Darren Jevons.
Yes.
Roberta Carpenter.
Yes.
Brian Badinsky.
Yes.
Rich O'Neill.
Yes.
Eric Alvarez.
Yes.
Okay, Karen. Next item, resolutions for Wolf Properties. Someone like to move?
I'll move it.
Moved. Someone like to second?
Dan, John, Eric.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
The only thing I would like to add, Mr. Chairman, I did make a couple of very minor revisions that, after conferring with our planner engineer, turned out that it did not appear that they needed an FAR variance. As we know, they pretty radically amended their plans mid-application, so that took the FAR variance out. So I made that. I prepared a revised form with that language deleted. Also, there was one clarification on the sidewalks and the driveway apron and sidewalks. The applicant's attorney had asked that we revised that to, rather than replace the whole sidewalk, replace the cracked and damaged portions of the sidewalk in full. Which makes sense because if there, you know, obviously there's a major cost issue, but also apparently there's enough sidewalk there that's still intact that breaking it up and starting it all over again doesn't make sense. So I did make that revision. I think it makes sense. It's not unusual in such circumstances. Beyond that, I certainly, you know, I just want to make sure the board's aware that those revisions are on the record. Beyond that, I certainly believe that the resolution reflects what was a very long and intensive hearing process, and I certainly commend it to the board to vote affirmatively on it.
Moved and second with those revisions?
Question?
Yes.
I can't vote on nothing, that's Bluestone, I just think that sidewalk in front of that building.
Some of it is, but some of it's not.
Okay, so when they replace it.
The stuff that's in bad is the concrete apron around that, so I think it's concrete.
I think it's straight. I think it is
Yeah.
straight concrete because it's been my understanding too.
So did it have to dye the concrete blue or?
Like we did it wrong.
We've done it before.
Yeah, we have, we did it right.
Oh, they're doing it more than anybody realizes. Anything to save money.
Division Street.
Yeah.
Just a thought, I don't know.
I'll look into that, but the majority of the crack is the apron,
I know.
which is concrete.
Yeah.
So I think the sidewalk repair is de minimis, but we'll certainly look into it. But if it's one panel and the rest of it's concrete, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely take a look at that.
The applicant knew that the apron was pretty damaged.
Yeah.
So I mean that was a big issue for them. In contrast to the sidewalk, which had less damage, you know, maybe wear and tear, but you know, I think this is a reason. I candidly think it's a reasonable request as long as
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Dan Jones.
Yes.
Roberta Cardenas.
Yes.
John Flores.
Yeah.
Eric Alvarez.
Yes.
Next resolution, SECH, 19 West High. Someone like to move it?
I'll move.
Moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Roll call?
Art Adair.
Yes.
Roberta Cardenas.
Yes.
Dan Jones.
I don't even remember that one.
Kavanaugh,
Bank.
it's the bank,
that
the
was
drive-through.
the bank,
You don't see the
the parking
bank.
spaces.
Yeah, TD Bank.
Okay.
I tried to get him to require the clock to be fixed, just so I spoke to the planner. Technically, it's an off-site improvement, so I had to take that condition out, but I tried. I just wanted you to know. We can't legally make them do something that's not on their property, really. So, but, you know, they'll use their best efforts, but I think that's, you know, I
Yeah.
think you're still gonna have four different clock faces with 4 different times.
Oh, we grew up with it.
I know, but it's a beautiful clock. I love it.
Rich O'Neill.
Yes.
John Flores.
Yeah.
Eric Alvarez.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on, the land use application, Lori Drive, that's going to be whatever they,
Yeah, before Lori Drive, their notice was deficient, so we're going to renotice, and I don't have a date for them yet.
Yeah.
so if anybody's here for Lori Drive, it will not be heard tonight. Next application.
They'll be renoticed.
The next application is 4th Street.
That's us.
Good evening, my name is Martha Gillespie. I'm the attorney for the applicant, Art Development Group. We're here with regard to the property located at 15 4th Street, in which the applicant is proposing to construct two-family dwelling. I have three witnesses here this evening, Mr. Spires, our engineer, Mr. Chadwick, our planner, and the applicant is here as well. So once Dave's ready, we'll, are maybe swearing everybody at once, or
No.
I'd like to do it one
one
at
at
a
a
time.
time? Okay.
Mr. Stires, nice to see you again, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
David Stires, S-T-I-R-E-S.
Very good. Counselor?
Thank you. All right. Mr. Stars, can you orient us to the property?
Yes, it's the,
We didn't stipulate to his qualifications.
Oh, that's correct. Just so you, Mr. Stars, in here. Can you run through your qualifications?
I am a professional engineer licensed in the state of New Jersey since 1985. My license is current and graduated from Lehigh University in 1980 and started practicing with my father's business in Somerville, as you all know, for 18 years, and then went off on my own in 2003.
We don't need to listen to this, do we?
I'm just busting his nose. No, actually, the reason I did that is Richie and I had done some interviews for Bill TV for the history of Somerville and certain people. And 20 years from now, somebody's gonna be watching this on YouTube. Say, Mr. Stires was involved in that, he was involved in this. And when I first came on the board, we had a gentleman, like Mr. Stires was giving his resume, and his professional license was in the teens. He studied under Frank Lloyd Wright. We didn't want to hear the application, we just wanted to hear his resume. So, one day, Mr. Stires, we're gonna interview you for Bill TV. So, go.
All right, so the property's 15 4th Street. It's on the north side of 4th Street and all the way on the west end. It's actually the only residentially zoned lot on 4th Street. Everything to the east and to the south is industrial, and adjacent to it is a commercial building, and then on the east side and on the west side is the rear of the properties that front on South Bridge Street, and then there's residential to the north. It's been vacant. I was looking at some of the older maps, at least since 1995. There's some structure to the ground, meaning there was some stuff stored there over the years. And I saw on a couple of the maps some tractor trailers and box trucks and stuff like that that were on the property. And I want to say I recall that, you know, potentially across the street may have rented that property at some time to store equipment or material over there, but I'm not 100% sure on that. In any event, it's a stone and concrete, crushed concrete composite pretty much throughout the lot with grass growing through it. And again, as far as I know, it's been vacant for at least back to 1995. What my client proposes to do is to construct a two-family residential home. It is in the floodway. So what we're proposing to do is use the lower level for a garage and an apartment on the second floor, and two upper levels, two unit apartments, or single family, or a duplex type.
Two apartments?
Two apartments with 3 bedrooms each, right?
Yes,
So flats there, right, in the apartment.
they're flats, yes, yep. So with that, I'll just briefly go through Mike's memorandum dated July 25th. On page 3, to identify the variances, there is a building height variance. It's de minimis, it's less than an inch, it's 35.05. I think the architect probably could have
made the necessary adjustment, but we came in with a variance in any event. It does meet the, I just want to note, maximum improvement coverage of 40%, we're at 34.6. The FAR is at 37.6, where 30% is allowed. Again, we're requesting a 2-family dwelling, where single-family detached dwellings are permitted in the R2 zone. Street trees, we would agree to amend the plan and add the street tree to eliminate that issue. The driveway width is at 22.19 feet, where 10 feet is required for a 50-foot wide lot. Again, that's to allow for the 2-family to each have their own driveway and their adequate parking on site. So we're requesting relief from the driveway. I think that's it. Do you want me to just go through comments that we have issues with, as opposed to every one of them?
Just on the building height, you said it was like a half an inch.
It's 0.05, which is just over half an inch.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's a story. The ordinance is mid-height, I don't think it's 35 at the mid-span. So I think it's a story.
It's a three. You're saying a 3-story versus allowed 2.5.
If you look at the ordinance, you don't measure to the peak, it's halfway up the roof line. So I don't know if you still are over 35 halfway up.
Oh, I see. So we may not need a variance.
You don't need a variance for height, but for stories you do.
A 3-story.
For a 3-story, and I think I said, maybe John will comment, I think that's a C variance, not a D, because it complies with the height but not the stories. That's my opinion. I'm sure John will comment on that.
Yeah, I've heard the same opinion. Okay. You want me to just go through the ones we have issues with as opposed to the ones we...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
So item on page 4, under performance standards, number 2, that goes to the variance. I think Mike is suggesting we raise the first floor so that there's more room between the garage door and the floor. So right now there's 6 foot 8 inches from the floor to the door, approximately, based on figuring a foot from the ceiling to the door for the install. We don't have a problem with that. I mean, that's up to the board's discretion. It would increase the variance if we raised the height of the first floor in that situation.
What's the ceiling height in the garage?
That was the question I raised, and based on my math, it's going to be 6.75 feet with the garage.
He worked from
it's not high enough, in my opinion.
How are you gonna get a garage door in there?
Well, that's his.
That's with the garage door opener. When you put the garage door opener, it's just down
7'9" to the ceiling,
Okay, from the slab.
and then 6'9" to the door is what he's estimating.
Yeah,
Well, you just get the double track. You can
do that too.
Yeah. Get a low clearance overhead garage door.
That's why we have the architects.
Is that why?
Yeah. So you think it'll work?
I don't know, I mean, I'm on the board of adjustment here.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, obviously our architect believes it's adequate, so.
Yeah, I think you can get in 9 or 10 inches, you can get that, where there's 2 tracks, it breaks, and then you have, it's a low head.
No profile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would leave that up to the discretion of the board. If you want to raise the height of the building to accommodate more height in the garage, that's.
Well, seeing as we don't have a height variance anyway, because we've determined that the ridge is not the measurement for the height of the building, why don't we raise it up a little bit?
I don't think 6 inches or a foot, Dave, are gonna raise it over 35 feet. I think you're still
Okay.
left with the story variance.
Yep.
So it's still a C variance, 6 inches plus or minus, doesn't matter.
Not a problem.
Yeah, but the higher you make it, the more steps you have in the
Right.
front too, so.
Okay, the next items on that page are all fine. I would, defer to the applicant as to, item 7, as to any, I guess you were asking whether there's been any testing maybe?
On 7, I'm just saying, is there any soil groundwater contamination that needs to be addressed prior to construction or during construction? That's what I'm basically asking.
And same with item 8, are you gonna remove those bin blocks?
Yeah.
Okay, so they would be removed. There's bin blocks in the back of the property, I guess, for storage of material at some point in time. And they will be removed. Item 9, we're okay with that. What happened is, I think when they use it as a storage facility, they paved up along the curb so you could ramp in there as opposed to a 6-inch face. So we just got to pull that pavement out.
Yeah.
They didn't fold that back in. Item under B, we would agree to add the street tree. C, we would agree to. Under items 1 and 2 under floodplain, we've gone through general permit 6 and believe we meet all of the issues. The flood elevation, the 100-year flood elevation is 47, the design flood is 50, and our finished floor is 56.5. So if the governor mandates that new regulation, we're still 4.5 feet above the flood.
That's the first floor,
First floor.
but not the garage and,
No, and, under these, obviously we have to get a DEP permit. Those permits require notification about the parking in the garage and all that. Right. We'll comply with all that stuff.
Just so the board knows, there's supposed to be an executive order changing the floodplain elevations effective immediately without public comment. It was supposed to be coming out in June. Now it's supposed to be coming out this month or sometime. No one knows, and there's a PowerPoint, but they're talking about raising the flood elevation, hazard elevation between 2 and 3 feet to the existing.
Yeah.
Whack, immediately.
so right now it's 4 feet, and
We're 4.5 feet above the design floor.
so you might wind up being 2 feet over.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
2
means
or 1.
you can totally flood that lower level.
Probably won't be able to park out on
Right. I mean, that whole, that's crazy.
it. Oh, yeah.
So
Did you see it last September?
I did not see Ida, but I heard, this street was 5 feet or so, 5 or 6 feet.
You're,
I had 57 inches of water in my office at the cemetery.
the
I've seen it where all those apartments on the west side were flooded.
Where this right?
Yeah.
And the houses.
Yeah.
The DPW building your father built,
Yeah.
that has the offices in the 2nd floor, they got 1.5 feet of water. First time ever.
I've evacuated that place back in the 70s. Yeah. We ran all the equipment up to the elementary school.
So it'll be this year too.
So David, I had the comment about the AC, the compressors, everything. He's gonna try to raise it above the flood hazard elevation.
Not the hang on, yeah.
That's what it's saying, you can hang utilities.
Stormwater comments, we're fine with everything. The only thing I just want to have a little wiggle room with is the 1.4% slope from the problem is we have south side draining down towards our property and then all the way out. So if I try to create a 2% slope and raise the back of the property, I'm going to trap the water on the neighbor's property. So
Her house was a lake.
yeah, so we just need to be able to work that out. I mean, I've gone as low as 1% on swales, and if they're constructed properly, will work.
That's a field adjustment.
Yeah. And then we're okay with the rest of the comments under stormwater. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Does the applicant have any objection to making Mr. Cole's report, compliance with Mr. Cole's report as maybe adjusted by the board in this discussion of condition of approval?
That's acceptable.
All right, so basically, the next flood, the best condition for you is you're gonna be 4.5 feet underwater in the garage and the lower level. And more than likely, within a period of time that the governor decides, you're gonna be 6 feet or more underwater at the next, whatever they determine it, year flood, right? I just wanna get that out, just wanna get that out.
I mean, the design storm is one thing and the reality is another. I mean, Ida was probably what we're at right now.
All right.
And we're factoring in the next, this whole study is based on factoring in global warming out to 2100, right, Mike?
Yes.
I believe it's 2100.
2100 is correct.
So they're adding those 2 feet based on these projections from these past storms.
Yeah, well, how many times, in your knowledge, how many times have we exceeded the 50-year storm in the last 10 years?
A lot.
Okay, so
I
to me,
don't disagree.
yeah, to me, those projections are frivolous, just to me, that's all. Just want to get that out there, that's all.
I don't disagree. Happened with the fire department, there were floods going back to 1971. If you're basing on 100-year floods, I'm 900 years old.
That's all?
So no one will be living on the ground floor?
Not the ground.
Yes.
No, it's just, it's a stairwell up, and that's the area.
Because I'm seeing, there's like offices there. Yeah, it's a brand new, that's
Somebody living there, there's a gym and a rec area and a bathroom and a Zoom office.
There's a camera room, storage and camera room, what's the?
It seems like life to me.
That's not his answer.
Pull that out.
I think those are the wrong plans.
Yeah.
What?
That was all.
That was originally before we found out that the flood zone.
The plans I saw was just the storage garage.
It was talking before.
What the hell?
Yeah.
We have the wrong plans?
A lot of questions, but A1 shows Zoom room and camera room.
Well, Dave,
Hey, can you address that? We have the wrong plans?
That's the wrong set of plans. I have one here. It's just 11 by 17, which shows at the lower level of the parking garage and just stairs front and back, get up and down.
Those were the plans from last August.
We didn't even submit that. We never even submitted that.
You have to, because it happened.
No, we printed it.
one other issue, I appreciate
okay.
Mr. Cole bringing to my attention to number 15 on page 12 and 14 of his report. You know, this issue of placing families in a flood hazard area is, you know, needless to say, if the board is acting on, the board is acting on notice of these circumstances. I'm not saying.
Hold on, so the only people listening to you is board. I don't know what they're doing out there.
That's probably what happened.
A little concerned about the fact that the plans are not the correct plans.
Right. I'm ready to, it's not very
Yeah, you might, I think that, I strongly believe that might be appropriate given the circumstances. I'm not trying to shut anybody down, but the board needs to know what's in front of it.
Right, exactly. What you're asking us to vote on, we don't have. It's not fair to us, it's not fair to the applicants, and it's not fair to any of the neighbors.
Well, also, you know, in terms of what's the file, you know, you're bound by those plans. I mean, if you submitted the wrong plans, you can't amend them on the fly like this.
No.
So, you know, if they're the wrong plans, it should be resubmitted for the
They
next
have
meeting.
extra copies.
I think
The
so,
initial,
too.
the initial three.
Okay. Yes, that's what you're doing.
The initial three didn't have the Zoom, but the architect sent us the wrong plans.
Oh, no, I'm not,
No, I understand
I'm not
that, we were
coming
just
down
trying
to
to
you
figure
guys.
out what happened.
sounds like there was an internal mix-up.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we adjourn this meeting.
Okay, someone like to second that?
Before we go, I would recommend you put the deck on the back of the drawings as well. It's shown on the site plan, not on the architectural drawing. Get it together and come back here with a cohesive, comprehensive application, please. I'm sorry.
One other note I'd like to add, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Cole caught this, is on page 12 of 14 in this report, item number 15, I think we've got to have competent testimony to address that issue of, placing families in the floodplain, or the flood hazard area, and the dimensions of the building, and, what can be done to address that, because that's got to be within the board's purview in making its decision. So, check out comment 15, David. I mean, I think it would probably be best if you respond to it because you're the engineer, but I agree that this should be carried to the next meeting when the applicant has all its materials properly before the board and responds to Dan's comment as well.
It's in the floodplain, trust me. I've lived in that neighborhood for over 60 years, and it's something you really have to take into consideration. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this portion of the hearing. We adjourn this application until.
Okay, we're I would suggest, okay, I don't know how long it will take you to get the plans wrapped up with the
The plans are complete, and the PDFs came, and the architect sent the wrong ones when we added the additional 15 copies. So the first 3 copies, I believe, are correct, that are on file. And then when we were asked to provide additional, we got the wrong sample.
Now, the other issue we have, as you know, our calendar is pretty full. So, I mean, we're probably talking about having you back on, I'd say, what we took it, December? Or maybe even January? So I think you may need to renotice. I mean, I know that's not the news you want to hear, but I would certainly suggest it to the board because we don't know when we're going to have you back on. It's not like we can just say, okay, we'll see you next month. We can't do that.
Understood.
So, we'll carry, we'll ask you to renotice the application, and the next meeting will be
I'm looking at November 16th.
November 16th. That's still a pretty good carry. So, yeah, my recommendation to the board is that we renotice.
So,
And I presume you'll grant any, because we declared you complete, even with the problems with the plans. But I presume the applicant will consent to any extensions that might be needed to avoid any default approvals.
Yes, we gave an extension through September 30th, so we'll be able to give an extension
Okay,
after that date.
thank you for putting it on the record.
Is that a hard date, November?
16th.
okay, it's been moved and seconded, so any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Second.
Oh, I'll second it.
Roberta?
Martin Dare.
Yes.
Cameron
I'm
Jenkins.
sorry, we're voting on adjournment.
Adjourn.
Yes.
Adjourning this.
Yes, adjourned.
Roberta Carpenter.
Yes.
Brian Medinski.
Yes.
Rich O'Neal.
Yes.
John Flores.
Yes.
Eric Alvarez.
Yes.
Okay, Scary. Hopefully we'll see you in November. We'll get a special meeting next month.
31st.
31st, I won't
Yeah.
be in Milwaukee. She's jumped into a foxhole and put back, messed up her back, so they stopped her at 20. But she was already.
Wednesday the 31st.
Well, we should.
One second, guys.
Oh, the camera.
1 second. Just a couple of things. Good night.
Take care.
Have a chance to look at it.
Good to see you. Good to be around. See what you
Just so the board knows, we got a letter from Mark Anderson asking for an extension, and we don't think he needs one because we got a variance, he has 2 years, he's saying, it says in the resolution, 1 unit construction permits, he's having a hard time finding a contractor, that's the addition to the back of the house. So Cliff and I, we're saying it's no issue because.
It's good under the statute.
So I don't think the board has to take any action, but there was a letter given, we can certainly respond to it, yes?
Yeah, I think I think we certainly have essentially. He's already got the year under the statutes. He gets 2 years in terms of the site plan, so I don't see any problem with that. So I don't think the letter was necessary. And we're gonna tell him.
Yeah, we'll tell him.
I'm
letting the board.
I can let him know, or, whatever you want me to do. Okay.
And, you see Cliff's name?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What did he do?
Uh-huh.
You under indictment?
Not yet.
He's on the front cover, baby.
Right.
Cliff made the front cover.
I thought we'd make the centerfold.
That's right, Cliff.
Thank you.
Mr. Gibbons.
Mr. Gibbons made the front cover.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
There you go, Cliff.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. I appreciate that very much.
Only took 50 years to get
Exactly. All right, you should listen. Just walk in the post office. You'll see me on all the wall.
Is it true they're changing the name from Cox to Cox, Koenig and Gibbons?
I think we're still. I think my firm is still afloat and still moving forward. Though Stuart. Well, Bill was my mentor, and Stuart was a very dear friend. He was whatever good I do reflects their influence, certainly.
You do a lot of good.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad we were able to do what we could do. This is just an interesting issue because it's. Well, frankly, since the pandemic, but even before the pandemic, we had issues. When somebody appeals a zoning officer's determination, what's happening is sometimes the planners and the engineers and the attorneys and the traffic experts or whatever, if they're dealing with that appeal hearing process, which can be long, there's no provision for escrow. Which means we get to the end of it and we've done our corporal work of mercy because we don't get paid. And I figured what we need to do is municipalities, some have filled the hole with ordinances, but the NLUL needs to be amended. I'll have to talk to the drafting committee about that. But the other thing is in the meantime, I'm just suggesting it's an easy amendment to your ordinance, just to say, the board will, the board secretary shall establish a reasonable escrow for the reasonable fees of the professionals for appeals from the zoning officer, and that'll cover it until the iceberg moves and we get the MLUL revised. But thank you, it's very nice of you to say, I appreciate it. About this, I was going to say it might be something to do. because it's a personnel issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should go into executive session on the letter. And I'll get a hold of Mr. Anderson.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he was belt and suspenders to his credit.
That was a year ago? I think that was longer. I worked with Mark a lot. You know Mark?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, no, Mark's pretty, that's why Mary Ann Yeargard is a good friend of mine as well, and she was there for a long time.
I don't know, leave it on, it's still on, right?
This is not the